That, my friends, is an example of a really bad eat. And today on my video at Outdoors Obsessions, we're going to focus on a really good eat. Something that a lot of people haven't considered when they harvest goose. A couple of my videos previously, I was able to demonstrate how to break down a goose carcass, and one of my favorite methods of cooking up the meat, especially with the legs, this works very well because they are very high in tendons and sinew and tough material to work with. A lot of people actually, for some reason, don't like to use them, but today I'm going to show you how to make an awesome meal which is very diverse and fairly simple to do and can last in the fridge for several months and even longer in the freezer. And what we're going to do is, with this mixed bag of snows and blues and Canada geese, we're just going to take the legs, add it with a little bit of what we call green salt, and cook it in lard for several hours until they fall off the bone tender, and I don't think anybody can disagree with how great that sounds. So here we go. So we got a fair amount of goose legs here. They've been all trimmed up. You could leave the fat on, that'll just make it more flavorful. Skin off, feathers off. A lot of people throw this meat out, and you're about to see why this is a great thing to keep around. And over here we have our green salt, and I'll drop the description of how to make that. It's fairly simple, just requires some chopping. We'll put that in the description of the video down below. These two together plus lard is really all we need for this recipe. All I'm going to do now is just go ahead and mix the green salt, rub it into the legs, get a nice even coating, and those are going to sit over in the fridge for 12 to 24 hours. So now all I'm going to do is just go ahead and wrap them up with some saran wrap, keep them airtight, throw them in the fridge overnight, up to 24 hours or so, and then we'll go cook them in some lard. "24 hours later." Alright, and welcome back. It's day 2 of our goose leg confit process. All I'm going to do right now is take some, I would prefer to use lard, however, with it being right after the holidays, apparently 3 different stores were sold out completely. So when looking into this project for substitutes, I learned that you could use vegetable oil or preferably Crisco above that. But ideally lard. That's available pretty typically at most stores. And we're just going to put all of our marinated legs into the bottom of a cooking pot, cover it up with melted lard or Crisco in this case. Make sure that all of the legs are covered so that way there's nothing exposed to the air, just so it doesn't get dried out. And then you're gonna, once everything is melted, go ahead and throw it into the oven. Heat up the oven to about 225 degrees, cook it covered for about 6 to 8 hours. Or until you could just take the bone and just drop the meat off of there with a flick of the wrist, because that's what we're just trying to do. So, see you then. Got the oven preheating to 225. Got our shortening melted down into just its liquid form. Simply gonna add all these delicious legs, find out if we need a little bit more shortening to add to it. I can't wait for this. This is going to be glorious. So delicious. If you ever hunt waterfowl, ducks, geese, heck, you can even do this with turkeys too, I'm sure. Chicken, just legs in general. But this is a great way to use some tougher meat that has a lot of connective tissue, and it turns out fantastic. So as you can see, not all of this is going to be fitting in the liquid. I will add a little bit more. Currently I've used one thing of Crisco, so we're going to open up the second. Just add a little bit more. Get those covered up. Then it's off to the oven. Okay, we got all the Crisco all melted down. Goose legs thrown in, covered them up. Gonna cover this pot, throw it into the preheated convection oven, and see it again in several hours. Alright, so it's been 6 hours later, and I've come home to a fantastic smelling kitchen. Love those days when it cooks all day. Anyways, just pulled the deliciousness from the oven. It is looking fantastic. Do a little fork test, and as you can see, this just peels back off the bone. It's fantastic, delicious, tender, salty yumminess. Great way to use goose meat. Just falls right off the bone. So I'm going to go ahead and shred this all off the bone and show you the nice big pile of extra goose meat that people just leave in the ditch. And there you have it. The finished product, some shredded, delicious, seasoned goose leg confit. And as I had mentioned before, this goose meat cooked in this manner can be used in a wide variety of dishes. Frankly, just a few off the top of my head would be included in a nice cheese quesadilla, thrown into a burrito with some jalapenos, just eaten straight cold out of the dish as is, with maybe on some bread and some mustard, or you could even throw it on top of a plate of nachos reheated. Anyways, it is a fantastic way to use the legs of what most people often will throw away. You could do the same with ducks and pheasant and all that. So how I'm going to store this, I'm just simply going to pour enough of the remainder of the Crisco or lard back on top of the meat just to cover everything back up. Throw it in the fridge, and if you'd like, you can section it off into small mini loaf pans, so that way you don't have one big pot every time you need to get into it. You could vacuum seal those loaves, throw them in the freezer, but even in just the fridge, this dish will last you several months. So I hope you guys learned something today that might pique your interest while you're out waterfowl hunting, or any birds. And drop a note in the comment section telling me if you guys ever have tried this before, what you guys really enjoy about it, or if you plan to use it, and maybe what your ideas on how to cook with this type of meat will be. So I'm always excited to hear your guys' thoughts. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Outdoors Obsessions. This is Chris signing off. Until next time, have a great day. As I had mentioned earlier, this goose meat is an extremely diverse application. No, what the trying to say here?
What are you trying to say? The cooking is diverse?
The food can be used in a diverse range of things.
Oh, sure.
You could use this in a wide variety of dishes. Okay, got it. Wide array.